There is a potential for a catastrophic outburst of a glacier lake, which might cause an inland tsunami, threatening 15 million people. Glaciers around the world are melting at an alarming rate, leaving behind massive pools of water. The meltwater fills the depression left by the glacier, resulting in the formation of a glacial lake. As temperatures rise and more glacier melts away, the lake rises, and living downstream from one could be extremely dangerous. If the lake rises too high, or if the surrounding land or ice gives way, it could burst, sending water and debris rushing down mountains. This is known as a glacial lake outburst, and the roughly 15 million people who live within 30 miles of a glacial lake are at risk, according to a study published Tuesday in the journal Nature Communications. More than half are concentrated in 4 countries: India, Pakistan, Peru, and China. It is the first study to examine the potential impact of glacial lake outbursts, which experts say cannot be overstated. A glacial lake outburst is comparable to an inland tsunami, according to Tom Robinson, co-author of the study and senior lecturer at the University of Canterbury in New Zealand. He compared the effect to the unexpected fall of a dam. These glacial dams are identical to man-made dams. If you take the Hoover Dam as an example, there is a vast lake behind it, but if you suddenly remove the Hoover Dam, the water will cascade down a valley in massive flood waves. These floods occur without much to no warning. Previous glacial lake eruptions have resulted in the deaths of thousands of people and the destruction of vital infrastructure and property. The Peruvian Cordillera Blanca is a hotspot for this hazardous occurrence. Since 1941, the mountain range has experienced more than 30 glacier disasters, including avalanches and glacial lake eruptions, which have claimed over 15,000 lives. In spite of the fact that it is not yet possible to determine to what extent glacial melt contributed to the floods that occurred in Pakistan in 2017, the country has more glaciers than any other region of the world outside of the polar regions. According to the findings of scientists, there were at least 16 glacial lake outburst incidents in the northern Gilgit-Baltistan region of the country in 2022 alone. This is a substantial increase from the 5 or 6 events that were seen in previous years. According to the findings of the study, the part of Asia that includes Nepal, Pakistan, and Kazakhstan that is most vulnerable to these eruptions is High Mountains Asia. According to the observations made by scientists, the average resident of this region lives within around 6 miles of a glacier lake. Robinson stated that the Andes region, which includes Peru and Bolivia, was one of the most alarming due to the lack of studies in the area. As a result of the climate catastrophe, Andean glaciers have melted fast over the past 2 decades, leaving behind enormous glacial lakes and raising the risk of catastrophic flooding. Robinson observed that North America and the European Alps do not stand out as particularly susceptible because fewer people reside in glacier catchment areas. Even if the dangers in these locations are extremely severe, he explained, the absence of exposed inhabitants gives them a low danger score. David Rounce, a glaciologist at Carnegie Mellon University who was not involved in the study, called Tuesday's global comparison strong and said it would be interesting to monitor how glacial lake outburst risk and emergency management tactics change over time. This is a really excellent first pass to identify where we have put a lot of our time and our research efforts and where we can improve, the authors said, adding that their method may be used to estimate future exposure and hazard changes. Climate change is most obvious in melting glaciers. Even if the world's ambitious climate ambitions, including phasing out fossil fuels, are realized, Rounce's recent analysis indicated that half of the planet's glaciers could disappear by the end of the century. Robinson thinks their findings will assist world authorities identify which countries need early warning systems for glacial melt-related catastrophic flooding as temperatures rise. We, as a global community, only have limited resources, and some of us have more than others, he remarked. We want to employ those resources in locations where consequences could be fairly severe. Robinson said that by investing in vulnerable nations like India, Pakistan, Peru, and China, we can work our way down that list and keep working down to save more lives from overflowing glacial lakes.